Today, Tilly Fox will be teaching you how to create new administrator accounts and how to deploy a file server on your new RAID data drive. So let's begin. To add new users to this domain controller and Active Directory, we want to click on Tools and then click on Active Directory Users and Computers. From here, the domain should be minimized, so we want to expand the TeleFox domain, and as you can see, we have a folder called Users. We could add the users here inside of this area, or we could create a organizational unit. So what we want to do is go ahead and create a new organizational unit, and we will call it administrators. We could select protect container from accidental deletion, and we will leave that checked. You can basically remove this doing some kind of configuration process. So be aware that you can always remove the protect container from the accidental deletion option, but we'll leave that checked for now. Click OK. And now, as you can see, we have an organizational unit called administrators. So inside of administrators, what we want to do is create a new user. So inside that folder, we want to click in the white space, click New, User. From here, we enter in the user's credentials, along with their email and username. So for this case scenario, we will use Melissa, last name Mode. All of our administrators will have the last name Mode as a default for this case scenario. So full name is Melissa Mode, and her login is melissa.mode@telefox.la.local. Click on Next. From here, we want to change the password. Generally, it's a good practice to have this box checked. It says user must change password at next login. But for our case scenario, we will uncheck this because I'm not having multiple passwords. I want to keep it simple for the demonstration, but for in a real world business practice, it's best to have this box checked. Then we want to also select password never expires and user cannot change password. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then we create a strong password. And we want to change the member of to admin. There we go. Apply. So now the user has the capability to be a domain user along with administrators. So we click OK. And we do that 3 more times, so 2 more times for Dennis Mode and Jason Mode. Once again, we click on New, User, Jason Mode. The username will be all in lowercase with Jason.mode. And next. Password never expires. And then we create a new password. Click on Next and Finished. Now Jason is created. We want to double click on his name and make him a member of the administrative group. So we click on Member of, type in administrator, and click Apply. Now he's a part of the administrator group. And one last creation. New user, and this time it's Dennis. Mode. The login is all lowercase Dennis.mode. And we want to select password never expires. Click finish. And one last thing, we need to add Dennis to the members of administrator. So we click on his profile, we go to members of, we go add, and then type of administrators, click apply, and then OK. So we do this to make sure we have a separation between each administrator. So when Dennis comes into the office, all of his login and work will be logged inside of the server under his username. If Melissa logs in, all of her information is going to be logged onto that server. This makes the capability for you to log each administrator's practice and work to ensure nothing goes bad. And when something goes bad, then you could pinpoint who was logged in at that specific time. Then from here, we want to disable the main administrative user. So we go back to control panel, built-in Active Directory users and computers. We go to users right here, click on administrator, and we want to disable this account. So as you can see, we could click on account is disabled. Actually, we want to do that the second time we log in. So let's go ahead and click on cancel. We have to log in as one of the administrators first before we can do that. So let's do that now. Go ahead and click on sign out. And then we want to use a different user. So we'll click on other users. And we want to type in Dennis.mode. And then the password for Dennis. And as you can see, we're signing in as Dennis Mode, one of the administrators. So from here, we should be able to disable the main administrator account to improve the security of the server. Alright, the server's up and running. We want to click on Tools and click on Active Directory Users and Computers. From here, we expand the Telefox Corporation domain and then click on Users. Double click on Administrator and then go to Account. Scroll all the way down to Disable Account. Click Apply. And now this account should be disabled. It shouldn't be able to be used. So we could try that in theory if we go back to our sign-in page. So we have to sign out. And we want to try to sign back in with the administrator account. Hypothetically, it shouldn't work. And as you can see, the main administrator account is disabled. So this prevents an hacker from getting onto the network and using the main administrator username as a login. So now they have to figure out what the login name is for different administrators, and it creates a logging process. So if you have different administrators logging onto your servers, you know who did what work. So it's very good to secure your server this way. Alright, so we want to do one more thing. We want to log in as Dennis Mode, and then we want to configure the file server. Once we're logged back in, we want to type in control panel. And we want to change the view by to small icons. Then we want to click on network and sharing. From here, we want to click on change advanced sharing options. And we want to click on turn on network discovery and turn on file and printer sharing. For domain, we want to do that as well. And then we want to click on save. Now from here, we want to change the computer name. So we go ahead and open up a File Explorer, right click this PC, click Properties, click on Advanced Settings, go to Computer Name, click on Change Computer Name, and we want to call this Windows Server 1. Click OK. And we need to restart the server after that, so we'll restart now, log back in, and deploy the file sharing services on our RAID controller. Alright, let's sign back into the Telefox Corporation Active Directory. So we type in Telefox Corp /Dennis.mode, and then the password for Dennis. Now we're logging into the Active Directory and domain. From here, we should be able to configure a few things. So we want to type in control panel, and we bring up the control panel, click on network and sharing center. From here, we want to change the network setting here to domain. So we should be able to change the network to domain instead of private. Okay, so the main issue for not having the shares on the domain is I had to go into the network settings. So inside of the adapter here, if we go to control panel, you would find your network and sharing center here. Under Ethernet, you want to click on properties, and you want to change your Internet Protocol version 4 and have your DNS as your main server. So your DNS should be 10.0.0.145. After I did that, I restarted the server and then disconnected the Ethernet cable, so basically disabled this adapter inside of adapter settings. So click on change adapter settings, clicked on disable, and then re-enabled it, and then it found the domain. So now that it's on the domain, we could change the sharing settings to turn on network discovery and turn on file share for the domain, which is the current profile. Click on save, and now we have the capability to save domain shares. From here, we open up our File Explorer, we go to this PC, and we double click on the RAID 1 data. From here, we create our first backup folder. So for this, it will be cells. And we want to go ahead and click. Actually, let's also create a folder called _admin. We want to right click that, click on properties, and then click on sharing. From here, we only want to add the administrators. We don't want anybody else to access the administrator folders. And I'll show you how to do that with each folder. So for the cells folder, I only want the cells and administrators to access it. For the production folder, I only want the production team to access it and not anybody else. So I'll show you how to do that. But for this first case scenario, we're using the administrators folder, and we only want the administrators to access it. So we'll go ahead and click on admin, click on add, click on find. So we click on admin. And as you can see, we have the built-in account for administrators, or we have the group. We want to go ahead and click on group. And we want to give them the capability to read and write. Then we want to add the 2 other administrators. So we want to add Melissa and then we want to add Jason. Let's type up Jason. Click on find. Type up Jason. And then we want to add Dennis as well. Dennis. So as you can see, all the network access for this folder _admin, only administrators could access it. Click on share. Click on done. Alright, so now this folder is accessible only by the administrators. I will show you that is the case on another server. Or we could test it out on this server. We just need to create a new account. So let's go to manage. So let's go to tools, click on Active Directory users and computers. Now we want to create a new organizational unit for this domain controller. We will right click on the telefoxcorp.la.local name, and then we click on new and organizational unit. This organizational unit will be called cells. Click OK. And then we want to add the first cells user. So we click on cells folder, we click inside the organizational unit, and then we click on new user. The first user we'll be adding is Jen. Jen Mode. Her username is all lowercase jen.mode. Click next. And then we want to select password never expires. So for real life production, we want to make sure that the user must change their password. So go ahead and do that now. We'll go ahead and click on user must change their password and go ahead and type up an easy password here for them. Click on next and finished. Now that we have this user created, we should be able to sign into her account, and we shouldn't be able to access that shared folder. So let's go ahead and check that out. Now we want to sign out the Dennis profile. We click on sign out, and this time we will be signing in as Jen Mode. So we click on other users, type in telefoxcorp /Jen.mode, all lowercase. And as you can see, the first time that user is logging in, they need to change their password. We will change the password now. We'll give her a new password. In this case scenario, it would be the actual person changing the password, so Jen Mode, or whatever worker that you assign this profile to, they'll be changing their password for the first time. Your password has changed. So now we just log in as that user. To add this computer to the domain, we want to go ahead and open up the File Explorer, click on Properties for this computer, click on Advanced Settings, and then we want to click on Computer Name. We want to click on Change, and then click Member of Domain. The domain is going to be telefoxcorp.la.local. From here, you want to enter in an administrator's account. So for our case scenario, that's going to be Telefox, all in caps, Telefox Corp /Dennis.mode, and then the password for Dennis. Dennis was one of the administrator accounts we created earlier, so it should allow us to add this computer to the domain. And as you can see, we're now connected to the domain. Click OK, and we need to restart this computer. Close and restart now. Now that the computer restarted, we want to type in Telefox Corp /Gen.mode. Since this computer is already connected to the domain, Gen.mode should be able to connect under her profile. And as you can see, GenMode is signing in. From here, we are going to test the shared permissions for the administrator folder that we shared. Okay, to access the server share, we want to type in Windows Server 1. For your case scenario, it could be different. You may have named your server DNS server, or you may have named your server HQ domain controller. That's going to be up to what you named your computer. Once we open that up, we could see we could access these two folders, which we want to make sure that they cannot be accessed. So we'll take care of that later, but the administrator folder. So if we double click on the administrator folder, as you can see, Windows cannot access this folder. You do not have the permissions to, and that's because we're not signed in as an administrator. We set this folder to have only administrator privileges. We could do that for these two folders as well, but now you get the point. It's fairly straightforward. And that's how you would implement various shares on your network based on various departments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, and don't hesitate to contact Telefox for all your consulting needs. You have a good afternoon.